and welcome back to Bump Club. We continue our series on Beyond the Vows, and today we're going to talk about two distinct topics that are trouble on their own, which is love and money, but we're matching them. What happens and how are you managing your finances within your marriage? Doesn't that sound hot? Yes, it does. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Watch this as a watch party, and let's get engaging in the comment section. To help me with this conversation is my usual suspects, Sharon, Husky, Pastor Husky, Mama Boy. We hear you calling her the Queen of Wisdom. But then also on the show, we have the man that is single-handedly helping families to completely crush debt. Individuals, families, everybody, anybody that has debt, coach, director, doctor, Grace, Munyira. Actually, we call him Grace.
Come on.
He's our person.
Thank you so much.
So good to have you.
Good to be here.
Sharon, a few days ago, we saw a picture of you. You're wearing white and blue.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Okay, so I am a grandchild of Kabigumira. So he's a renowned evangelist in the Anglican fraternity, and that's my grandfather. So we are not just Anglicans. Like we are Anglicans. It's like a thing. Like our hill, our home. It's like a thing.
An Anglican church in itself.
Yeah, everybody knows I attend Watoto. That's the church I go to with my husband and family. But we really have found ourselves still inclined for Anglican church. So we got married there. Our children have been baptized there. So yeah, I turned 40 this year.
Come on.
Then raising children, and I think just the environment has changed for me. So yeah, that just swung in my path because the Mothers Union leader now in Bugolobi is a friend of mine. And she just made it to Sharon, you really need to be here. She made it her business. They're in Twenda. Yeah, but it's a good space to be. I think I just looked at it. So yeah.
We're not the chicks of Mothers Union.
Yes.
Yes. And then they are so old.
I need you to understand that for me, it was my judge, so you're making me feel some way.
Somewhere. I'm actually glad you saw my picture, so you should know the trauma or putting on that sash. Then you post with Mr. Oh, honey, here on the stand on this side.
I said that's Gomez. You can't be confused for any other Gomez. It's Mothers Union.
As soon as I saw the pictures, like
You just
we are now in Mothers Union.
This is for you, Sharon.
I think it is a good space.
Yeah.
It is a good space, and I love that also Bump Club is a good space. I wish we can get a uniform. Yeah. And a staff.
No. A sash like this one for Gomesi? Oh, okay, fix. I was out of it.
I'm going to call you for a function. You need to call the sash of
Mothers Union, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, great.
Good.
You don't even have a Gomesi. I know, right? What is she talking about?
Anyway, let's come back to the subject. Just because I know how heavy this is. Sometimes it just helps to lighten up just before we start. So, ladies and gentlemen, how you been married before or you're married in a marriage? How did you and your partner decide who handles the money and what has worked? Or has it worked the way you had expected?
I have questions. When you say money, and I think it will take us to the next question, or it will get Grace to answer this one. When you say money, you mean all the money entering in the home, or you mean the husband's money?
Oh.
That's why it took long to answer.
Wow.
There's a thing about
his money, our money.
money.
My money, my money.
So when you said the money in the home, do you mean the money that runs the home, or do you mean all the
Excuse me, I have a
millions
question.
comes to the
When you're
home?
doing the vows, did you say some money? Oh, you said all that I have, I give to you. About everything I have. What were you thinking?
You answered my question,
Okay.
but let's hear. Yeah.
So, money is very sensitive,
Yes.
and let's admit it.
Yeah.
And people are willing to reveal all their sexual history and not reveal their money history.
It's true. Mm.
So they will spill every ounce of escapade they've
Yeah.
had, but not tell you how they spend their money.
Yeah.
So, and I think that there are valid reasons why people are fearful to come out and say, "Here is my money. This is how much I earn." So me and my wife actually keep our monies differently, separately, and we are just beginning to think maybe now we should keep money together.
Wow.
But also understanding our, for instance, I'm a businessman. She's not in business. So there's business money. How much of it comes to me, then, the obligations I have, and she also has obligations. So it becomes a little bit difficult to say this is exactly how much I earn, and this is not what I earn, or the perception I can project.
Mm.
Having said that, we also have certain family and cultural obligations that we we have been I wouldn't want to say forced, but we
all get it.
yeah, you get it.
We get it.
So
We hope you also.
yeah, so for me to understand that her auntie is sick and in hospital and they need so much, I may not have the emotional bandwidth to accommodate that relationship at the moment. And so she should be able to take on that role and
Without
roll it without much of if and maybe help me understand what that means for me, and say, you know what, auntie is so sick, so we've pulled together so much, but we require of you to come through to this extent. Yeah. So for us, it has been a journey of gradual disclosure, I would say.
Yeah.
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 Mm.
It is a process, I think.
I think
As
so.
you continue to trust each other,
Yeah.
you start to disclose even more information. But also your life is changing as you continue. Before you were earning
as well.
small time money, now
Yeah.
you're earning more money. You were first in a salary job, now you're in a business. So also things are changing.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that you're sharing that there's a place to evolve.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't just
Also, you're changing as an individual.
Yes.
I didn't trust you very well then. Now, now
Yeah.
I
Now I
think
can
I do.
trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe I had really bad financial manners, if that's even a word in English,
Yeah.
and not comfortable then to share that way. But now, yeah, I will not
Now
be
I
a
can-
liability. I can be a very good
Yeah.
person to manage with
Yeah.
financially.
Sometimes you've been busted anyway,
Yeah.
and then so you've been busted twice. So you're like, now let me come.
Let me come. Let me
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that you talk about trust.
Yeah.
And there's a thing called money temperaments.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And it affects marriage much more than we actually think it does.
Yeah.
There are those that are spenders,
Yeah.
there are those that save,
Yeah.
there are those that are investors, and there are those that think short term and long term.
Mhm.
So here, in dating, those are things we don't discuss at all. Yeah. Dating, we know that you go out, the guy pays the bills, you go back home. You want flowers, they send you flowers.
You want to spoil him, you spoil him.
You don't even care where it's
Yes.
coming from.
You don't even care where
Take
it's
a picture
coming
at that
from.
point.
But do we discuss issues because when you get into the home, then the friction starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy is thinking, let's
Long
save
term.
3/4 of what we earn or quarter of what, and plan for the future. The lady's saying, but
Let's spend it.
we've
We
just
need to
gotten
pick
married. This is the time for us to go on holiday before we have children. This is the time for us to drive nice cars. When children come, we are
It's your
finished.
money.
Yeah.
The guy is saying, I want to be able
The
to
money
plan.
you have.
Or the lady is saying, let's plan. So that when the children come,
Yeah.
bills are not a thing.
Yeah.
School fees is we choose the schools without looking at the bill first.
Yeah.
So the money temperaments also affect who manages money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people have got their fingers burnt.
Yeah.
The guy gets into the home and thinks, okay, obviously the woman will be able to manage. So what are our bills for the month? 10 million shillings. Sorry, that is a different.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. What's the
Scale
bill
down,
for the month?
scale down.
1.5.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we are listening to you.
Think big,
Yeah.
honestly.
10 million.
Hiyo tu fail.
Yeah.
But so he says, hey, I'll give it to her. She should be able to pay power, water, the house helps, whatever it is, pay everything. And then by 10th, the money is gone.
Over.
Yes. So eventually he realizes this temperament, this is a spender. So I'll start to withdraw some of the things. You tell me when gas is done, send me a WhatsApp and say gas is over. I send a 150 for gas,
Yeah.
I'll take a picture of the gas cylinder.
Whoa, way.
No, I think I will send the money to the gas station when you reach. Yeah.
And that eventually the relationship starts to suffer
Suffers.
some friction because she's like, now you used to give me the money, you don't give it to anymore. You don't trust me. Yes, you're not trustworthy. I don't trust you.
Yeah.
And then it will spill over maybe into other what do they call it? Luxuries in the bedroom.
Yeah.
People are withholding and what because of that.
Yeah.
But trust.
Yeah.
He also talked about obligations.
Yeah.
When we think of money and pooling, there are things that being Africans, we don't stop paying black tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there are things that we'll always keep. But as you were speaking, I thought about as like, what did our grandparents and parents do where the women were not working, but the black tax still
What's still
existed?
happening?
You still had to pay school fees for some of the orphans in the family or something. You still had to send money to the parents in the village. Someone is in hospital.
What
You
was
still
the
had to
answer you got?
contribute. It's like our fathers carried a lot.
They carry
Yeah.
And our grandfathers carried a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
They did.
Because they were running the homes, but also these other obligations.
I think for them in
Funny.
their time when they really took a girl out of her father's home,
Yes.
they really took her
Yes.
on. Like they took her plus her family plus, like it became like became one. Like plus your family becomes my. So your uncle is sick is the same as my uncle is sick, and so they were taking care of that.
Yeah.
Now imagine one was three.
3 wives or 3 children? Three wives. Oh,
Yes, put together for family.
Yeah.
The side.
But now, how have you guys decided to handle money in your family now?
I think for us,
And is it working?
for us, it's first of all, it's 1 year and a half
Okay.
in marriage. But for us, we're still on the model of there's one mugaga. You go to the John with your list of this is what we require. Then he says, okay, this now. Wait, this one can wait. And for now, it's still working.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess time, trust, and merging of temperaments. We need to get that.
You spoke about temperaments, and I thought it's very interesting when the man is the spendthrift.
Yes. And it does exist.
Yeah. So when I had the question of how did you decide to manage, I'm like, no, we didn't. It was obvious who was going to manage the money. Yes, because for me, I'll tell you, my husband would be the kind of this is the budget. You know, when you write down a list and say these are the things to say, bring me the list. I'll bring the things. I put beef, what the man comes back and says, I bought a cereal bowl for Harvey. I said I thought it looked really cool. I am like, the beef, they're cool. Yeah. I'm like, and the beef? So how about we eat a salad? I mean a cereal bowl for dinner. As in, I'm thinking, look, if you purchase the things and somehow there was money to spend, yes, that makes sense. But like in his head, luxury would somehow find its way. I'm thinking, no, this was the plan, man. Stick to the script. So there was nothing like, let's decide who is going to manage. And I remember we did counseling with St. Francis. You guys, they give you a couple to work with. Then there's a pamphlet that you have to go through, topic by topic. And so the finance thing, I noticed they first go away. They're pretending the wife is in the kitchen. So like, are we going to have a session today? It's like, yeah, you discuss page 1 to 4, we're coming. So when they came back, they were like, no, so usually we give couples time because at this point they either fight and the girl returns the ring and she walks out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She's like, every time we get to finances, if you make it past this point, there's a chance that your marriage might survive. Because most people here,
At this point.
they walk out.
Yeah.
Like, what? You do what with your money? You earn what? We're done. Like, they walk out. I'd be like, I'm not marrying this man because he has no plan.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that was a very tight thing for us. And Bambi, might I tell you that my husband was doing forex trading? I stopped there, but we continue.
I'll continue.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was 24. I think that shows before I said I was 24 when I got married. So damn, oh my God, is that
So
forex
naive.
Naive,
So
yeah, stupid.
financially
So I had to like
illiterate.
go and find out what's forex trading, whatever. Then I'm like, you use money, other people's money, but your money. Why choosing the money you have? Then I got to figure out the other people's money involved. I was like, yo.
Yeah.
And now when we got married is when it had tanked.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Yes, and you guys,
That
it
bad
turned
fall.
overnight.
Overnight.
Overnight, guys, people who moved from billionaires to zero overnight.
That's horrible.
From that time, I
After
said,
that
"Oh, that
thing,
Kachat does this."
I
That's exactly.
So when you
how
ask who was
it
managing
comes
the money, Bambi, no, there was no room for discussion.
Yeah.
There was really no room. I'm like, we're talking $15,000. You think I'm going to give you 2 million to do what with it?
Yeah.
No, there was no discussion.
You know, money is a belief. If you believe it's if you're those kinds of people who believe that it's, I know you've called it temperaments, but I feel like it's a belief. Where if you believe that money has come to save, that's what you use the money for. You understand? If you believe that it's security, you hold on to onto the money. If you believe it is freedom, you will use it as you understand what I'm saying? So you have to sit down and have a conversation with thyself and say, if I had all the money I have, what do I believe money is? What is it exactly? You know? Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
So for Sharon, it was interesting hearing how you are describing money and making the decision with your partner on who does what and who does what. Now, if you all remember the discussion we had, I think at back where I told you for me, marriage was freedom.
Oh yeah.
So I typically walked in and like you're almost giving your
Cinderella.
No, what? No, what do we do? Yeah.
Are we going shopping?
So even
Wow.
financially, that was the mindset. Now, what helped is that I had responsibility.
At first wanted.
That we talk about. So as long as those were done, because Mr. O was the provider, is the Mugaga.
Yeah.
We know your finances, you want to understand.
So we
So
together.
I will not even labor to learn, study. No.
Wow.
You got this. So even when say my salary would come, I was that girl that would daddy sorted my brother. Oh, we good. I honey, is there anything we need to bid in this? Anyway, you figure it out.
Hey,
And then I
mama.
would just sail away in comfort. Did it work? It worked then. But I mean, we've been married. It's going to be our 16th year.
Come on.
It does not. It can't work anymore.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
it's
You can't Cinderella on to this day.
can't,
Yeah.
Yes, but that's who I was, and it worked so well.
Mm.
My God, I had so much peace. But I think as you evolve, as the tides go, then you're remembering, hey, I'm supposed to be a helper. Impose the money. Impose where did it go? Impose what did it do? You completely have track of nothing.
Yeah.
When it comes to finances. Yeah. And I think it was such a huge risk. And thank God it didn't have very detrimental, consequences for us to encounter. But when I remember the one I was then, I freak out. Naiveness. Yeah. But so that's what it was then. Now it's a bit more streamlined. And I like what he shared. It was, I think I was affirmed today because I used to always feel strange because for us, joint accounts, money together is usually for a certain cause. What works
Like
for
a project.
us. It's a project. We are working on this. And then we pull forces to it. They will never be the same. He's like thousands, and me like somewhere there.
But you're there, you got
Yeah.
something.
We pull
Yeah.
together for a particular project, and when it's done, it's done.
It's done.
It's your responsibility to be responsible with the finances. You have remain accountable, but like there is that kind of separation. For example, I can't even have a conversation asking Mr. Ongo how much do you have. What is that?
What kind of question?
Yeah, what kind of question to ask a kid?
Okay. You know, you've started talking about pooling finances or combining finances, and I actually did want to ask about that. Do you believe couples should combine finances, split them, keep them separate? And you know, I know that you already have your way it's working, but you can have a different belief system.
This is what I believe, and this is what I
This is
do.
what I know, right?
Wow.
This is the reality.
On ground.
Oh, this is the
Sorry,
ground.
Grace.
This is what's happening.
I think-
Totally ground.
I think there are some bad manners that even when you have good intentions of saying let's combine, sometimes the person you want to combine with just has bad manners.
Yeah.
Right? It's not even a personality, but it's just bad manners.
They're just bad manners.
Even the one who likes to spend shouldn't spend the money in 3 days. You shouldn't be getting into debt. Now, that's not a debt personality. Those are simply bad manners. And so sometimes, even when you want to do a joint account, you realize there are bad manners, but also the level of maturity
Yeah.
is low.
Yeah.
So if I say I have 100 million under the bed, will you go and tell the neighbor that no, for us we have 100 million?
My way. For that.
You be there.
As
For
at
us,
our
we have-
home.
Then the guys come and take it.
Yeah.
So if you realize that you have such a person, then give her 23,000.
Secrets are coming in.
23,000 shillings, and then keep the rest.
Not even dollars. We start
Ah.
from 100 million. Wow. 700.
Because that is what she can manage and remain a sane person, right? But also, sometimes the background we have, how we've been raised. So if your parents did a joint, then you see all the advantages of joint. Then you can explain to your person the advantages, and then you gradually move into a convergent situation where I say, okay, let's try it for 3 months. If it doesn't work, and then you can leave the door open and say, look, if this thing doesn't work, it's a rotating door. Don't worry, you can do it.
Come back next time.
Hey, let's pack
But
it.
also, it can be good idea, but not now.
Yeah.
All right. I still have my contradictions. I have debt. I
Yeah.
have overdrafts. I have things.
Yeah.
I have obligations. So I'm thinking, let me write the turbulence. Yeah. So when I reach a certain level, then
When
we
it settles, we pick it up.
again.
Yeah.
So I hear you and I understand your heart. Move on.
Yeah.
I'll catch up with you.
Yeah.
In a few years' time.
I think that's a mature.
I think it's mature, but it needs the two individuals to be extremely mature.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because
Like the covenant of can be mature.
But usually,
Guys, the two people in need.
usually it happens under circumstances where you think the other person is immature.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So you might sometimes you have to involve a third party to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing called temperature. You know that thing, the thermometer
Yeah.
in the room.
Yeah.
You know that money. There are some people, their temperature
Rising. The captain starts doing like this in the red side.
their money temperature is 2 million shillings to 200.
No way.
Yeah.
So
I
if the
know.
money
Person
goes
usually
above
says that.
my temperature
Mm.
of say 2 million shillings, I'll
Overload.
do everything because it's overheating.
Yeah.
To make sure we come back down.
Yeah. So
Now,
those are
at
the
2
people.
million,
Yeah.
I rest.
We're back.
Yeah.
Those are people can't handle bonuses.
I'm not understanding. So temperature to spend, temperature to I don't want.
As
the
in
money, I
beyond
want
that
to
money, you're
go.
too excited.
know
You want to do everything.
Normal body temperature is 37. Now, everybody has. By the way, we all have. All of
Yeah.
us here have our money temperature. When you're at that level, so if you go below that 2 million shillings, you do
You're
everything
stressed.
to make sure
You come back.
You side gigs, what you come back at 2 million, you rest.
Everybody
Now,
has a
imagine
number.
I am married to Grace, and his temperature is 300 million shillings.
Mercy.
Mine is
23,000 shillings.
Mucha. So what it says, the bank is at 300 million today.
She collapses.
I'm going to invest in a new business eventually. I'm not.
To Range Rover.
I'll go through the websites, car websites.
Pinterest.
I don't know what.
We're not getting
Anything to bring the money down.
Yeah.
This one I was starting finding issues with my cousin there. Why am I driving a Japanese?
Between 300 million.
Yes.
Why are the kids in this school?
My
People
question
like
is,
that
is
cannot
it your
manage.
money? Over now we are that.
See, now it's our money.
We decided to
Combine.
Yeah.
Yes. So
My
there's a
temperament,
level.
I think for me, as long as that money did not come from my sweat.
It's not yours.
Be loving, be sweet, everything. Every time I look at that man, I'm like, it's not your money. It's not your money.
But that's maturity
I
as
think
well.
that's
Thank you.
my personality. is
That's
like
good.
that. But now I wish it could flip to when I'm the one who has made it, because that's
It's different.
that I have with someone else's money.
That's a
Yeah.
top line.
When it
That's
is
a
money,
top line.
pay me for work. I'm like, lady has been watching this. When we get, who needed that? What?
Ray-Ban glasses.
The children. What? I even used to
Wow.
crack a joke with. Actually, you know, when you say things out loud, you will see the immaturity. I used to say, those things of children when they eat KFC when their dad is around. It shall not be me. So as long
A
as
good
I
meal
have
every Sunday.
money on me,
You're going to spend it.
and something needs to be done, we should do it.
Really? Something needs to be done? Let's eat KFC?
No, just to make us comfortable. Us who are
Okay.
here.
Yeah, that's why here.
That phrase
Let's
is
be
what's
comfortable.
what's that one phrase you said just before you make a stupid financial
Heaven is the goal. Rubbish. Tell serious. I know. Hold on. You remember that clip that made rounds here? If the money you have cannot buy a bag of cement, eat that. Mama said,
Yeah.
23,000.
For me to think like that, because I think that's exactly how I am.
No, for you will evolve.
Oh.
You will evolve. In fact, they
That's
say that
comforting.
within a marriage, you evolve 5 times.
Mercy.
So you'll evolve. Don't worry. Wisdom will come your way. Where even your money.
Colleagues.
It's official.
Colleagues. Colleagues, wisdom is coming. Wisdom shall come.
As you walk.
We told you that he says things and you're like, eh?
Yeah. Let me adjust myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wisdom
Where
will-
you will know that even your money is actually not your money.
Yeah.
Yeah. That ultimately you money has been given to you as a trust.
Yeah.
Well,
And depending
yes, stewarding it.
how you handle that, even the one you think is yours
It's not.
actually is not.
It's not.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. It's interesting that I'm such a fan believer in combining, because I feel that the information you hold back in terms of information, your sexual partners, your diseases, your anything that you keep back is just a very good foothold for the enemy.
Yeah.
To get liberty. And so I think for me it's about being, because if the Bible tells us that unless two agree can they walk together, are you really walking together without information? You're telling yourselves you've agreed, you're walking together. Are you really?
Okay, how about I don't bring it, but I inform you?
Yeah,
No,
you see, because the conversations we've been having is that your temperature is 20K. I mean, that's just like zip. We can't be in a place of zipping. Okay, so in my opinion,
yes.
And for me, combining does not necessarily mean all your money is together, but the information is public to both.
Yeah.
The
other day they paid me.
Yes, the other day they paid me, and they paid me
This
X
much.
amount of money. And with that amount of money, I plan on doing X, Y, Z.
Now,
So
Yes, I know.
Okay.
That's where the problem. That's
depending on who is listening.
it's not even about depending on who's listening. But so that's why I say that's where my issue is.
Yeah.
I be like, we are in a marriage together. It's like saying that I slept with like 3 guys, but I'll keep that info. It's the same thing. you're keeping info. Just because you're like, if I tell my chick that I slept with it, she's going to, so I'm going to be quiet. You understand what I mean? And yet, marriage requires trust. So what is it exactly? Can we work on the thing that makes you not trust me? Can we work on the thing that makes my temperature low? Like, can we actually work on these things, before we say, now we're separate. We're quiet. We're not talking about this. I'm not. How do I ask the king my man? The king should be telling me, by the way, Iwe, it's my wife. This is what we own. All of it. You see this bank account without you having 300. This account 1 billion. This account 0.
Wow.
But I'm trying to work things around. As a king, he should be telling me, this is where we
Stand.
Why? One day, God forbid, king is not there. Queen is not aware of anything because king was too scared. Her temperature is 23. So what can king do?
Ne,
To
23 na ye.
uplift my 23K temperature to a point where I can understand 6 billion on an account and it doesn't do anything to me.
I was thinking that having separate accounts or separate finances provides some kind of security for the home. Yeah. And in an economy like
Director Grace laughing at you.
Right. Because I'm agreeing with you.
yeah. I'm not just talking as a woman, and that's why he's laughing. So one partner, say for instance, goes into debt and is swept clean by the banks, by financial institutions. But their children, their bills that need to be paid. If the finances were merged,
It's gone. It's all gone. Yeah.
Because of wrong decisions, risk appetite, all those things that happen.
Yes.
When one person still has, it might be less, much less than what's coming in, but we're sure that there will be food on the table. We're sure that there will be some school fees.
Yeah.
Where as one person is
Sorting themselves.
life can still go on. Not at the same level, but it can still go on. So I've always felt like there's some kind of security that it gives.
I'm really curious to first hear what is it, because his face is saying many
He's
things.
looking first as well.
Yeah,
And
I really want to know what it is.
because I was like, if I look at him and I see his expression, I may be intimidated. And I say, no, this is what I mean. That's what I meant. And now I can turn and just
No, I think that for women, inherently, they need money.
True.
You see, over time, I've come to realize.
True.
You see,
They should replay that category. Women need
Money.
inherent.
the keywords.
They can't help it. They can't help it. When a woman's palms come in touch with money, the feeling is more than simply a physical thing. It signifies security.
Yes.
Okay, and it is important that she has money.
Yeah.
Now, I agree with you, by the way. I was just affirming.
Wow. Your affirming face is somewhere.
But
No,
okay.
there is no but. I think that gradually, then we see what risks do you run. Okay. Now, for about 23 years, I've been in debt. So it's important that my wife separates herself from me for our own good. Even if I love her so much, it was important that I run. When I go to, do my thing, the risk is up to here. And beyond that, then we are a bit covered. A reasonable amount of coverage we actually need. So I totally, completely agree with you. Now, the challenge is, do we have also a point of convergence? Sometimes we run so separate, 10 years later we are separate, 20 years later we are still separate, 50 years later we are still separate. So at what point do we then merge and say, you know what, I think my contradictions I'm Kawa now. You also have yours. Now let's begin having a kind of MOU that then we can formalize and then come. I'll give you an example. You see, we're talking about this, and how did we have this conversation? So my wife runs a small business. I run mine. And for a time, I asked her one day, look, do you know I know nothing about the business that you're doing? She said, yeah, I also know nothing. So if anything happened to you, I guarantee you that business would close. Because me, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. I would just sell it off or close it because I know nothing. So then we said, no, how about you share a bit of what is happening that side and I share a bit of what is happening this side. So gradually we get to know, say, hey, by the way, you said, did you buy, did you sell, what happened, you negotiated. And then we eventually come to a reasonable level. And even when you talk about the sexual partners or whatever, you didn't find your wife a virgin. So it is important that she comes clean and says, yeah, by the way, the other guy who is the other side is the other guy.
Yes, the other guy.
Who took the goat and ran away with.
Wow.
Yeah. And it is perfectly okay. Because when we talk about, and I think people get disappointed, we are one. In my view, we are becoming one. And as
you are not one immediately.
No.
It's a becoming
It's a becoming process.
like that.
You see, and that is why in Proverbs, and I say that he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. It is that becoming. It is not he who marries finds favor. The process of allowing her be, allowing her become, allowing her grow to her full potential needs a bit of patience, needs a bit of listening, needs a bit of forgiving and saying, okay, all that happened, all of that is a fact, but you're still mine. I still love you. Yeah. So you then are able to imperfectly, now you no longer want a perfect person. You actually want this person the way they are. Yeah. Imperfect as they are. Then you're like, yeah, I can put up with this. I actually don't want anyone perfect. Yeah. Because they would put me under a lot of pressure. Yes. So he says, hey, by the way, even me, even you, okay.
Yeah. Yes, what's up,
You understand? So eventually, you come to a stage and level where you now no longer have anything to hide. I'll tell you a story. So one day, I was just there thinking and saying, you know what? How many people have I related with? So I wrote a small list, and I wrote everyone on that list. Then I forgot where I put that list. Yeah.
And explain the information which has to just.
At least the people you're praying for. Was there a heading on the list? I have questions.
So my wife landed on it.
Was there a heading on the list?
She knew.
Okay.
You know their names.
The names that
You know
are
where you see like
culprit.
two. If you see, if you see 2, 4, 6, 8, then the next numero is what? 10. So you can see a pattern. Yeah. But she landed on it. It disappeared for about 2 weeks and then resurfaced, came on my bedside and
Magic.
then I'm like, this car list.
Where are you?
No, but you see, if you can overcome that, now I have nothing to hide. Yeah.
What I think what I like is the fact that ultimately there is a goal for convergence.
Correct.
Because for many people, that's not the goal. They're just like, no, forever separate your account, stay with yours, stay with mine. There is a place for, let's work towards that. But I'm still really big on people being open with what exactly is going on. Because the truth is, when I said yes to you, I'm not going to wait for you to become perfect at managing your debt. The truth is, the day I said I do, I took on your debt. That day you said yes to me, you took on my spend thrifting. That day I said yes, and it gives you no opportunity to become. So we should be working towards that. But that said, have you and your partner ever gone through a hard financial time? And how did you? And I give you an finish.
I'm sorry.
Even
Even me now, I want to hear her answer.
Excuse me, breathe. Mama, you were saying?
Yeah, have you guys gone through a hard financial time and how did you navigate that?
My brother's about to tell us.
No, someone who was planning with her.
I was actually thinking, why am I here? Because
We just make that show about you.
my God, no, I also sat in a bad place because when I look at Director Grace's face, I'm like, So I said Forex trading, right?
Yeah.
It's like starting a marriage at the bottom of the well, right? And the thing for me was as discovering these things as we went along. Manuela gave how much? 5 million. Barbara, I'm like, nah. Meanwhile, what annoyed me, I'm like, you idiots, you're my friends. Why didn't you?
Say something.
You're not telling me.
Yes, because their expectation was that you guys are married. We thought that you talk about.
This whole thing.
Guys, it's not a thing.
I
Yes.
could be sitting here with Grace, but I've not told him. I don't
Yeah.
know it. Oh, because it was too sweet. It was such a sweet thing.
I think it's such a good deal. You're not sure it's for sharing. I don't know. It's one of us too good to be true. Yes.
Let me first enjoy this thing.
Yeah. No, I get that if you're the Forex person, but now you, why didn't you say that you gave money?
Yeah. Like where you
But
just
where's
like,
your
you're
loyalty?
Like,
Yeah.
"Come on."
Bao na muwaje, yes. Yeah, nada, nothing. So I'm figuring all this out after the tanking. Yes. So
I hope they want calling.
So I'm like, guys, let's first talk about this thing. How much money are we talking about? And there's that thing that really annoys me. I like clear communication. When you start about, maybe, if I ask you, how many sodas did you take? You can't say, about 3. What do you mean? Who was drinking the sodas? That stresses me. Yeah, so you're like, about 8K. Now 8K, you're downplaying it. Then I realized it was 20K. I'm going to be pissed. So I'm thinking, how much more should I wait for? How much more is downloading off this hard disk?
How much
What is
lower?
coming? Exactly. Are we still sliding down?
Still down.
Like you're at the well here, then no, you know how the lift drops when it's dead, like zoom. Then you think, oh, that was close. Then it goes zoom. Exactly. That was it. Like we kept going. And you see when he talks about you have your date, I have my date. Man, there was some stupid date that just kept showing up, and I'm like, I don't know what we're doing. Like the border guy. I'm like, a border guy to Jamwe, Miss Walebidi. 150,000. I'm like, what they are to tell Kabale? What is happening? You guys, I kept thinking, yeah, so when he says bad manners, man, I know where he's coming from. I'm thinking, there are people who just can't help themselves. You keep having that thing, and my dad had that thing. You'd be like, Mugende wali wapulabawe. So for me, my mind had too much. I'm like, I know this song.
Oh, I've had it before. And it did end
I know
well.
every verse. Did it end? So I'm like, what did I do? And like the border guy, border guy, another Forex person shows up. I'm like, mwe, katusoke tutule, tubawandike. Our list was different. I'm like, it was so hard. And in the middle of that, I have to deal with, now we have kids, I can't reverse. There's some things you can't take back. Now there's a child, now there's this, now I'm working here. Then I think, we're done, we're done. And I think it's just a man thing, because women remember every detail. Okay, at least most. And he's like, oh no, there's one we forgot.
Why is it we now, though?
Thanks.
But continue.
It's what I do.
$15,000. Guys, I first sat down. Because I was thinking, not even my salary can get us out of this thing. And you see, if now we're waiting to Bagena Musiba, you love your boo. You can't just say, take him. It was not that. Vananga, I see when people love is stupid sometimes. So we're going to think, borrow money. Now, borrow money to get him out of the mess for the one person who is screaming, cut to jail. You remember, I'm like, okay, let's get this debt to get us out of blah, 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 blah. You pay the guy. Now it's like other people have had. Bane batu sasula. Batu sasula. Tugende.
That is sexually transmitted.
Hi. Batu sasula. Bambi, nechitabo wachiwandika leti. I don't know who's going to forgive you. I was like, I'm thinking, you guys, you can't swim, no floaters, nothing. We are going deeper. From the baby pool to the ocean, and it was going. And those are not things that you comfortably talk about. You can't come and say, oh, mommy, by the way, we have small 20K. 20. Like, Olivia, very serious. How much are you earning? You know it. So it starts looking. So every time someone said live within your means, I'd get so mad. I'm like, you know what you're talking about? There's no means. There's no means. So that, don't ask me when I went out of it, because we were. Yeah.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
I remember there was a time I don't want to say it was like a thing that, like, money that we had, we got into trouble with money that we didn't have.
Sorry, what?
Please do. So the way we run our finances, I'm the chick who my husband is the don. And like
Don Brian.
Don Brian is the king. He's the one. So yeah. So it was in my business. Thank God we are very open about our finances. I have access to his account. Every time I spend, actually, my husband knows where I am depending on.
That's why
I went up.
Officer everything.
What's going on? Like, so we can have conversations like that.
Like, is this one for one person or 6 people?
How you spend?
Who are you with? Oh, you tell me. So today you at who are you with?
Because the bill is not matching.
I start jazzing.
23.
Accountability there. Quickly. I taken like the bound of chicks. Okay. Was it good? Mom, it was good. It was fine, you know. So we're quite open about what's going on. The reason why we don't have a joint account is because in his mind it's like, but how much are you bringing?
23,000.
Let's have a joint account when you're going to be bringing 200.
That's how he is. It's like, I'll tell you when you can. You can be it
Your money.
Meanwhile, please not I'm those and even as I'm like my thinking facilitation for the month. It's like if she's there. So he's my don. That's the honest truth. So the financial season we got into was because of my business. We left the business premises during COVID. I listened to all you people's masterminds. People enter masterminds when you are wise. Okay. I did all the masterminds where you tell us pay your rent. A year ahead.
Then COVID came.
Because I had paid in December 2019.
Up to December 2020.
No, please. After that, those people were financially responsible. When it comes to business, it was going to go from Feb to Feb. Now, in my mind, and it was a thing which we do, like we had done it. It wasn't it was from the time we had been told. I'm those people when I don't just go to master classes to attend class. Points. I actually go to master classes and I apply what I have learned. So we had been doing it since 2018 when we had done this leadership course. I was harvest, I think. I did what I needed to do. So now I come. I'm 2017. I can't remember. I come and it's closed. Popcorn is closed. And unfortunately, my landlord was just like, no.
We can't bring back the man. Twas it dead.
Do I get a discount?
Even it's not my fault that.
So do I get a discount? He's like, no discount.
Wanji?
Then when they reopen, he calls me. He's like, hi, Manuela, how are you? The economy has opened.
When are you going to pay?
Schools, you're not opening. Do you think you'll manage? Because I'm hiking.
But also.
So I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, to like how much? Because I really wanted the space. And he goes, he had increased the rent by 250%. What
Oh,
was $1,000 had now become $2,500. I just couldn't afford because I didn't know when
wow.
schools would open.
Madness.
So we
They
teared,
just
we
wanted
packed
to
up the
push you
Credo,
out
we put it inside a truck
with
and
the no refund.
with a no refund,
Aye.
and we go. Now, this is a space where I had put in so much. You put
Yeah.
papers, you change,
Yeah.
you change the
You had custom
electricity,
made it.
whatever.
Yeah.
You change the plumbing system from that metallic thing to
It was all
plastic.
child
And you're
friendly.
thinking that we are in
Long term.
like long term. We want to be here for a while. So anyway, time comes, I get a letter. I'm being sued. So I said, I was sued for almost 60 million.
What?
What's up? I said, why are you suing me?
Is this a wrong letter?
I'm shaking like this. I'm like, but how do I tell this one to Mr. Ronaldo? Why am I being sued? I had not turned the house back
To how you found
its
it.
original state.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
like, man, I actually left it better. Just
Right?
go and put a bathroom. So should I go and remove my pavers? Should I remove my and give you back your metallic thing, your metallic plumbing system?
My God.
So we go through that now. It reached even Paka Nakao, and people in Nakao would call. They're like, "Wait, this guy is so serious. He's like,
Are you
he's
for real?
suing."
Nakao Court?
I go,
Yes.
"Write a letter to Mr. Man."
Bambi. That's tough.
It's like, so we're being sued. That blessed. He saw it as
We.
being sued. The business was his business. That the lawsuit was
What's your
also
lawsuit?
his, like it was
Yeah.
our lawsuit. Yes. It blessed me to the point that I had that cover that you talk about. I felt covered.
Yeah.
I knew we didn't have the COVID.
60 million.
60 million.
So some people can be.
What's
Alikuchi.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Anyway, that was that. I feel like that was a time when we're just like, where are we going to get this money? But anyway, if you want the rest of that story, stay tuned.
Can't even else we feel like we're staying tuned. I'm not happy.
At least the video is there.
I'm not happy. Yeah.
We opened with
And then first switch off and you finish for us your story.
Yeah.
Come back.
I also think so.
Let's just say that some things you need to take to prayer. Yeah, I remember my landlord just one day called and said,
It's okay.
I'm tired.
Very good. We bless you.
Let's and we now have a very good relationship. We talk with each other.
You told me he even calls you when he has
challenge. He calls, he's like, hey, how are you? I need help. I need this.
You know
And I'm
someone
like,
who can
"Okay.
do this for me.
You know someone who can do this?" I send him like but what we later found out was he was being pulled.
Someone else was telling.
That Manuela has money.
Yeah.
Much. That is COVID. We in COVID, get money. But he's a very understanding man. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that one was like we'd go to bed and go, where was
60 million, man.
Now we sleep in each other's arms.
With the color seat on the bedside.
And we don't see each other for
Do you know that thing can traumatize you? Every time someone knocks on the door, you're like, have they picked us up?
Yeah, that I remember that was hard, but it tested our character, it tested our trust for each other.
Yeah.
It tested our union. And the truth is, when they say those things like your marriage has to go through some really hard times for you to become better, that's
You
what
come out. That was yours.
did for us. Yeah.
Wow.
Money that wasn't ours.
But
Yeah. Is there any financial advice you wish someone had about love and finances?
Cinderella, what is it?
Yeah.
I just feel madams were in distress. I had a story from a lady that shared on a speaking engagement I was on Sunday. And all had very good jobs. And then they had this joint account for a particular project. But the husband would contribute more. So as she was speaking, I was just seeing a few similarities with how we run our finances. Because like I said, usually we will do joint because there is something we are focused to. And the husband lost his job and they had mortgaged their home. So he loses his job and can't pay for the mortgage anymore because he was contributing the hugest amount. Then the mortgage was about at, I think she said it was about 67 million shillings. So she had to shoulder that responsibility now on her own without saying, I am the one doing it, and without acting it. Because it's even when you're doing that, home needs to run. It may not be the same, but other factors need to remain because they need to go to school, yada yada. And because they were focused on that project, also their savings had been depleted. So there was no any money to run to. And she said that in that season, it tested her character so much. Because now she was not only being a helper, but a helper with humility, respect, and submission. She had to make sure that the husband still feels valued, still feels loved, the children still respect him as he goes through this time. And she says, I actually cleared that. Wow. She of course made the bank and renegotiated. Of course. For me, my earnings are like this. So please readjust. And I was looking at her and thinking, that's wisdom for a wife to even know that you can walk into a bank and renegotiate. You know your terms. Some people don't know. Yeah. So your question. What do I wish somebody would have told me before I got married? I wish I'd say, you know, when they say that you are the helper, that it is in all facets. Even when you are married, or have met this amazing man that prides in being such a great caregiver and provider, you are his helper. So be a good steward with what you have. Keep it, Banage, save. Don't be extravagant. Now I've learned something new. That at times when you think it's your money, it's actually really not your money. Yeah. So that you're able to be that helper when it is required of you. Because guys, seasons do change. And it doesn't change the fact that this your loving husband, your amazing wife is a good, financial student, or they're a good provider, or a good home manager. But seasons change. And I think it is a responsibility to be able to show up for one another when we're in this institution. All right. So I wish somebody had told me. I think then I would have been a better steward. Cinderella? I would not have been like, Kati, sent it for it.
Yeah. You want to hear the advice. I also. And I also wanted to hear that. I don't know why I didn't look at, like, I didn't prompt you to also share with us if there's ever a time you had a hard.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can
If you
share
could,
that
please,
then.
yeah,
All
and
right.
then the advice.
So 17, 18, I'm really down. The banks are now really beginning to chase after me.
Oh, so you were saying you did have debt.
Yes.
That's why this
Yes.
story
And so my
Yeah.
my money really dwindled. I thought the banks would foreclose. So then my wife picked the bigger part of the bills. That is sending children to school and buying the rice, potatoes, the beans, and that kind of thing. So I remember 2019, I had an old Toyota I used to drive, which I had bought 5 million.
I remember that times when cars were 5 million.
So it was really old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she kept saying, you know what, you need to change that car. I said, there's no money. You need to change that car. There's no money. So she said, okay, I've got you 15 million shillings. You're going to sell that car and change that car. I said, okay, madam, I'm going to do it. Now, earlier on, I used to buy cars and when I had money, I would drive a car for a year, right? And give it to my wife. Then I get another car. Yeah. So that good seed I'd sown, okay, gave me a goodwill that when I was down, she was actually able to shoulder most of the expenses. But also not taking all that for granted. Now, the thing that I learned about a month ago, I met a gentleman, or the thing I wish I knew, yeah. So he told me he saves school fees for his children, and he says he's been saving it for about 8 years. And he says he saves a year in advance, right? So the children were in holidays, so he said, now I'm saving money for 2026. So 25, I already have the money.
Yeah, I love it.
I was like,
Wow.
wow,
Such comfort.
wow, yeah. As in,
If anything happens,
25 is fully covered. Yeah. So he told me, yeah, the entire year. So he told me his bill is about 12 per term, which makes 36 a year. So he puts away 3 per month, and
Without feeling that.
without, yeah. So now he's into 2026, and he said he's been doing this for 8 years.
Discipline.
I was like,
It really is.
I was like, where were we?
Yes.
So sometimes you're one friend away from stupidity.
Come on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or wisdom.
Or wisdom.
Nah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if I had met, if I had met that guy, say maybe 7 years ago when he had started, and someone sometimes doesn't say, look this side, this is how I can do it. Yes, okay, fine. Let me start with a term in advance, 2 terms in advance, 3 terms. Then you're like, oh, even me,
here.
I'm here. Yes. Even me, I'm there. I was challenged. And I'm like, I wish I had learned this much earlier.
Yeah.
So I've set myself a target of a term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A term ahead of
Yeah.
time. Yes. Absolutely.
You know,
I
it's
tell
funny.
people that school
There was
fees
nowhere
money.
we were going to learn it from because our parents, it was for Tugende Wabasa. We need to talk to
Exactly.
Basa. Like, there was nowhere we were going to learn that.
I think we need to
It was always, I need to go with my father to the Basa's office, to the Basa's office. We need to. So
they
you're
give you
working.
a
Or you go
Yeah.
a week before the term.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
then-
that the embarrassment is reduced. So you see, you're talking about a term ahead. The people are working a term behind.
Yeah.
You get
when the
it?
kids get
That
holidays,
is so
they're still
wise.
working behind.
Yeah.
I keep telling people that your school fees money should not come from current, like where you have worked
Yeah.
currently.
It's not
It doesn't matter
sustainable.
even if you start putting away 100,000 every month, 50,000 every month. Put something away, such that in that week when the children are going back to school, people don't feel
You're
the first
starting
where you're
somewhere.
sitting in the sitting room. You know, it's, the maid is not afraid to come and ask and say salt is over because do you use it to clean the house? Salt.
That's what they said, when you're broke, you start fighting about lights. Why are you switching on the light? Do you need the light enough outside?
If possible, can it come from a passive source of income?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, how many sources of income do you have?
Yeah, interesting in sharing that. I remember when I got pregnant, when I announced my pregnancy to my husband, I said, oh, honey, looks like we are pregnant. We are
Yeah,
pregnant.
looks
the
like.
the capi stick. She likes, I'm like, oh,
2 lines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 lines. I'm like, oh, honey, it looks like we're pregnant. Do you know what Brian responded? School fees time.
You're like, excuse me, let's first buy diapers.
When it first become an embryo, even.
I know, right?
What? And Brian, interesting, decided to tell me, no, they're going to go to school.
And it's
day.
really
They're going
fast.
to university.
Yeah.
Let us start
Now.
Yes.
when the pressure is. We are
I
not-
know people who have been doing it now, they don't even have kids.
Exactly, like because you know that this is an expense that you're going to have.
Yeah.
So then you start to work.
Yeah, don't
plan
wait
and
for it to
work
come.
towards it.
Yes.
Yeah. Any advice?
I met a
But
couple
first,
that-
hold on. Mr. Mlondo will greet you.
Oh no, by the
Kubanga, wow.
Yeah, that's
I
not
met
like. I used to think that I know money.
until you met him.
Explains why you have the
Actually,
passion
yes,
for
I
because you have a cheerleader.
Yes, I know.
That's
follow.
a good, yeah.
I met a couple like 6 years ago, actually like 8, because now their children have finished uni, that had planted
I'll be there.
acres of trees
Oh yes.
for school fees
Mm.
for their children.
Yeah.
University school
Yeah,
fees,
yeah.
they're like, in the next 8-10 years we can harvest and sell, because they didn't want their kids first of all to do university in Uganda.
Yeah,
I think it's going to cost thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
As opposed to looking for school fees for university when the child is
Oh my
going.
gosh, you're doing
What can we do?
In
Ahead of
advance.
time.
I remember sitting with her and saying,
Yes.
needless to say.
Yes.
But you
I
see
believe-
that 2 people need to find each other.
That one person, the wisdom.
One of them finding a wrong person, the dream would have
It's
been.
shattered.
The person
Yeah,
can
there's
say,
also
"Do you know
finding
that
the wrong
you might not
person."
even be alive by that
Aha.
time. Even the child you're saving for,
No,
they
do
have.
do they have to
Correct,
study
correct.
What if
abroad?
they want? What if they don't want to go to university?
Yes, and I remember when I spoke to my
Must
What if I want to go to university?
myself, I promised myself that I will plant trees for my children for uni. And it kept, I need to tell her actually, I kept saying, I need to. And then I met a friend who helped me, and then we did it. And I said, now. So it took me sitting with someone to do it. I'm like, by the way, she said they're low budget. You don't have to. After the first 2 years, you don't have to do anything.
It's not even without trees. These guys of Jubilee Insurance. There is those ones where you can do insurance for your child's school fees. And the way it's structured is it's either short term, medium term, or long term. So you can start even on the long term, because the long term goes up to 15 years, 20 years, whatever. And you can be able to. The other day I was shocked when the insurance company called us and said, oh, by the way, your money is. I'm like,
Tuje?
Time
Are you sure?
flies, yes.
Time has really flown like this much. Even you can't even. I remember like with YSF, there's a real school fees account
yes.
for you to save for your children's school fees, primary, secondary, and university. The resources are there. Even if you're not able to plant trees.
I think
But
it's
something you said about it is necessary to meet the right person.
Yeah.
For that plan.
Yeah.
Policy. So do you know that some people's plans have also got messed up because they got advice from wrong people?
Yes. Yes.
And really invested, and the plan looks very good. The future is very clear.
Tangible.
Correct.
And then the last part they tell you, no, the
Jesus.
plantation got burnt.
No, they disappear. The people have bad manners.
Yeah.
They just disappear.
So I am thinking for a couple like that, for how those unplanned eventualities, because I mean, like I said,
Think
they're in
you
the same
pulled
land.
money
We are
for
working
the
in the same
project.
land of the living.
You pulled money for
And
the
you pulled money
project.
from some project, you made sacrifices. You seem like you have done it right.
Right,
Yeah.
until it's all gone.
But you
It
have
goes wrong.
Yeah.
I think it's a hard one based on the reality we have. You know, I was talking to some men and I was saying Kampala girls are very hard to get. That even if you're ready to marry, you had better take extra care.
Caution.
Aha.
Risks.
So yeah. So me, I think that one, you should pray about the person you really want to marry. Marriage is a financial decision you're making,
Yeah.
and you will either prosper or you will weep.
marriage is a financial
Decision.
So it is beyond the nyash and light skinned and all this kind of thing. Beyond that, it's a real financial thing. There are men who are crying, there are women who are crying. Number two, I think that let's have financial education. Okay, and say beyond how my mother did it, I ought to have a better standard and a better standing.
Yeah.
Number three, I think that let's take time to study each other.
Yeah.
Okay, and know that we are broken at some point. Yeah. Now, don't pretend like you have it all together.
Sorted. Yeah.
Where you're broken and where I'm broken, let's help one another. Then we build a better foundation for our children, our children. Children. Number four I can think about is get good friends.
It's true.
Get good friends.
Yeah.
A friend who helps you become better.
Yeah.
A friend who challenges you and say, Barbara, you should build. Say, me, I can't. No, you can. A friend who really loves you for...
You're driving a new car. Where does that money come from?
Take it back.
Correct.
Take it back.
This deal you're taking.
Now, instead of simply...
That you are building
Side apartments.
rentals. Or the house you are in, you are landing.
Akabachala. Wow.
Get good friends. Friends who help you. Say, no, you don't need actually to buy that. You can do this. Then after 5 years. Then lastly, I would say that time is your friend. Okay? Time is your friend. Don't want to build in 2 years. Okay? The pressure you're imposing on yourself is way
Too much. Your mall.
Time is your friend. Look at things, how they can be in 20, 30, 50 years. I'll give you a story, a short story. Recently, I was part of a group, and the guy, the facilitator, asked us and said, what do you see in 10 years' time? I said, write it. I said, okay. What do you see in 20 years' time? And could we?
Because they had finished all the things of 20 years in 10 years.
No, we don't have it.
No, you're not even projecting.
Yeah, you're not even projecting.
Yeah, there's no projection. Encha tugenda kulyachi. Encha tugenda.
You see, so you're like, what do you see in 30 years' time?
If I don't see the 10, how am I seeing the 30?
Then the guy asked, what do you see in 40 years' time?
Oh man, he went all the way.
Yeah. Then he said, what do you see in 50 years' time? Now, why don't I get my wife and say, look, we're going to build.
Yeah.
After year 10.
Yeah.
Then we'll build a second home in year 25. It's so clear.
Yeah.
Then we will do this by year 30.
Yeah.
Because we plan to stay
together forever.
Then why do we act like the world is ending in 3.5 years' time?
Right?
We have to do everything now.
So
it's
don't worry.
Pressure.
Let's use the border now.
Yeah.
We'll buy our first car after 5 years.
Yes.
Then we'll buy a second car.
For now,
after
let's buy
12
helmets.
years. Then we'll buy our third car or whatever it is.
Yeah.
No so pressure. We're going to buy our first piece of land after 6 years.
And sliding a conversation.
And by the way, this
you
is
just had to.
We're having a conversation together. Yeah. This is cumulative and it's building one upon another. Now you want to build your dream house in the 3rd year of marriage because you went to Sharon's home.
And they have entered their house.
Every bedroom is self-contained. And I believe every child
has their own room.
Yeah, and like a small desk where they read. Yeah.
And it's a brain thing for
They have 2 living rooms.
They have been married for 16 years. They started this house in the last 4 years.
Obanga Sharon has a trust fund.
For 12 years, they've been in a different space.
Back to sender. Is that example to me?
You're already married, madam.
You get it.
No, but you know it's interesting you say that because I remember a time I was under so much pressure. I was like, what old is it today? I'm just 28.
And you're comparing yourself to a 60-year-old.
42. You come to me when I'm 42.
Correct. But also, and you've been married 2 years. You want to build a 16-year-old marriage in 2 years.
Correct.
Wow.
So sometimes you just have to tell yourself, you know what? This is our plan.
Yeah. Have a plan.
We shall build.
Yes.
You see me here. We shall build. Okay? Relax. Year 9.5 will begin building. Year 7 will buy land. Year 8 will have all the materials necessary to build the house. So year 9, I'll work for the labor for building. Yeah.
Year 10 groundbreaking.
Correct.
And
in 12 months, the house will be done. So even you, wherever
your neighbor said 2 months.
2 months.
Ignore your neighbor.
We are ignoring you right now.
Wherever you are rested because you know the plan is there. The plan will evolve. The plan will begin to open up. But if we go with the blondos, have you seen the blondos?
To
something for their children. But we will be
and that's how you borrow.
Pressure. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Before he leaves that point, what would you say now? There's the women who are like Barbara.
Yeah.
They fall in that template properly. But then she has a man who just does not even have the plan. You're saying 5 years, 3 years, he doesn't even have next month. What would you say to that person? Like their partner. Kale talina plan.
Talina plan.
What's that thing? Alimu YOLO. Yeah, Alimu YOLO. You only live once. Let's eat that money.
Now, in that case, I don't know what the credible advisor would give.
Yeah.
Because one of you then has to be the wise one.
Mercy.
And say, you know what? I'm going to build this thing alone. And hopefully, this woman will come around in year 8. Yeah. But for now, maybe let her go YOLOing, inshallah.
Auntie YOLOing, the one you're making.
Then year 7, she will come and say, you know what?
Year 7.
Finally,
come
whatever
on.
you have been suggesting,
I see your thing.
I see your thing.
7 years.
Yes. Now I'm going to build a loan. But also, when you meet a Barbara, ask her, by the way, what's your plan? Also, yeah, she must have one, or she must evolve one. At least let's have one for 2 years. Yeah. And even while we're talking about this, even children, this
Yes,
person
one.
coming up and saying, I need 5 years.
Which seems like we are pregnant. Are you serious?
No, we are not.
Like me organized.
So when are we going to have another child? By the way, there are 7 questions that you compose. There are 6 of them.
Yeah.
Ask couples, and they cannot both answer the same question. When are you having another child?
At this point, somebody gets a pen and paper. Those questions, the 6 questions.
When are you having another child?
Mm.
And dude has no answer.
And
Chick
the
has
lady-
an answer.
For
And the 2 answers are separate.
different for the same question. Yeah.
But what are we looking forward together?
Mukama.
You're looking forward to meeting your mother. This is looking forward to. Why can't we at least agree and say, in September, we're looking forward to our child graduating?
Come
Even
on.
in baby class. Yeah,
Oh,
we're looking forward to it. Yeah. And
that's
you know,
nice.
you have things. By the way, we can begin very distant.
Yeah. I used to shun that question in interviews. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? When I'm listening to Grace over there, I'm thinking, as an individual, you can answer that work-wise. Where do you see yourself? You answer it very quickly. But as an individual, where do you see yourself? How many books? They asked us a question, how many books have you read this year? Some people get emotional and annoyed about it. But for real though, how many books have you read? Not novels, not how many love stories. You're right. How many books and what are you adding to yourself? I know someone who reads 4 books because it's like this chapter makes sense. Then it keeps moving. Before you know it, he has read 60 books in a year. But also it reflects in the results.
Exactly.
You can see that you're not at the same level. Both like intellectually, you're not at the same level because knowledge, like the thing Manuela said, when she sees, she acts. And most of those books actually have like action points. What are you going to do? Like the straightforward financial growth book.
You can read 60 books, but if you're rich.
No, but now if you're reading
Stop
novels,
reading and start doing.
it's like people have read the Bible back to back. Like you've not done anything. Okay, tell us, are you raising the dead? Results. How many people? Listen.
But I'm doing.
How many lives have you led to Christ? No, you have one. You came here for that one thing.
No.
Listen, how many people? How many people have you led to Christ? Kali, you know the Bible. To Yambe. Exactly my point. So you've read so many books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I don't know what. How much have you saved? What have you built? That's the thing. So I like that you're saying, when you say where do you see yourself in 10? Well, you went to 50. I'm like, 50 to Veyo. Let's come back. I'm like, where do I see myself?
Yeah.
And
In
it's
5
okay to
years.
edit.
You get.
Yeah.
As time goes.
As time goes.
Yeah.
But start somewhere.
You wanted to be a
Start.
pilot.
Yeah.
Now you're a hustler. It's okay.
Now you no, the planes of which papla. Wow.
It's okay. But at least you have what to edit. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember once when I was telling Brian, me, I want to be led. I want you to show me the plan. I said the problem is that for you, you don't think it can be edited.
There's a thing my husband is telling me, but you don't like being questioned. You feel, what is it? I say, I feel interrogated. But you see, you brought it, they're giving you wisdom. You brought it thinking it's ultimate, you should just agree. But when they break it down, trust me, when you rebuild it, you'll probably do a better action plan than just saying, "Kati okaiye mwana tubireke." Let him hug you, then we rebuild it together. Right? Oshegera. Yeah, kati ate obinyigiddemu, but you brought it to be helped.
Yeah.
So let's also receive.
I think for me, my school of thought is before I open up and tell you or before you advise me, I think show me. Show me. You
Have the moral ground to stand
have
on.
the moral ground so that then I can trust
Sometimes I have no moral ground.
Yeah, and you remember,
But
and
you have that knowledge.
But I know this one has the moral ground. She's my friend.
And so, yes, you can talk about Barbara, or you can say, you know, I think you talk to Barbara.
Yeah,
Barbara has a moral.
the thing
You
is,
remember that scripture in the Bible where they say that the city was saved by a poor man, but nobody could remember what he had said.
Yeah.
Because there is a place for Katigwenga Green. Even if the advice is useful, it has saved the city. Nobody remembered the poor man and what he had advised to save the entire city. So there is a place for moral ground. And I'm telling you guys, instead of being there in a place like, me, I'm advising you, you're refusing to listen, yet I'm a business coach. Yeah, you're a business coach, but your business is
but I'm also sharing
it's
from
not
my
working.
pain, from my wounds.
You're sharing from
Yeah.
your wounds, but where you
And
are,
I'm seeing you're following me very
Where
closely.
You're about to land in the same trap.
Ah.
If that's a
So I don't have to have moral ground.
No, maybe
In
you
this
have
case.
no. As a failure, you have moral ground.
Hey.
As a failure, you have moral ground there. So you can say, yeah, I failed.
But please don't do it like
But don't do like this. You can do anything. You do. Na here forex trading. Or you're there and say me. I know what
I've been there.
Don't come. But now you be there. Please feel free. You do. I need to end the show because it won't end. Let us know. Let us know in the comment section. Ask me as many questions as you can. Director, coach. We will be in the comment section, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're on YouTube
Yeah.
and TikTok.
Yeah.
And Instagram, and he's those kinds of people. So he'll be answering all the questions. So if you have any question, please. Before we go, big shout out to our sponsors and partners who have saved us a lot of money in our marriages. Some of us we are here thanking God that we have partners who can give us clothes like Cadia, like GK Fashions. Thank you so much. Our makeup, our faces have been big. Okay, for
Nothing.
Viluxe hair and beauty, and also Fatmas looks, and then for our lovely hair, thank you so much, Baddie hair and Viluxe again, guys. Please give them a big hand and let us know in the comment section or write to us on Bump Love UG if you think that you can be a partner with us, either with wardrobe, makeup, hair, jewelry, shoes. You will see you guys in the comment section. You're like, my God, that shoe game. Earrings. I've never can you watch an entire show that you're only seeing earrings. It could be you giving us the earrings. So let us know. Write to us at bumploveug@gmail.com and let us know if you'd like to be a partner with us. Until next time, with love from